What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Volume Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about Wednesday. Well, part of the Addams family. And the director is none other than the amazing Tim Burton, although some of us in here would disagree. But you have Tim Burton, who is the director, and then you have Jenna Ortega, who is playing Wednesday. Christina Ricci, who came in to play as Marilyn, right? And then you have Catherine Zeta-Jones playing as Morticia.
Oh yeah.
Luis Guzman playing as Gomez, and then so much more other people.
You know what's crazy? So, Luis Guzman playing Gomez. In the beginning, I was like, why is he playing this man Gomez, who I remember from the 90s as a very good looking man, right? I thought he was a good looking dude. So when I saw Luis Guzman, I was just like, no offense to him, but he isn't the Gomez from the past, right? And I just didn't make any sense to me. And I'm just like, why is he? So I got I was just a little frustrated. I mean, and also a little jealous because, he got to have some lovely scenes with Catherine Zeta-Jones. But the thing was I had to do some research on who this Gomez Addams character was. And I looked at the 1960s comic and I looked at the show, and he was actually pretty, he was short and stout. He had very eccentric look in his eyes, but he had he had a small frame, and he was shorter than Morticia, and he wasn't all that great a looking either. It was only in the 90s that Gomez was a looker. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you watch movies like Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the kid in the movies or whatever, he said that everybody in the movies had to have been good looking. You know what I mean? As far as adults go.
Yeah, it was definitely a time period where that was
yeah, so that was kind of the norm, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking maybe I was just why was he good looking in that show, not in the past? Because I used to watch the 1960s Addams Family because it would be around the time the Three Stooges was playing. And sometimes I would hide, or not hide, but I would sneak into the TV room and watch Three Stooges, and my parents thinking I'm asleep. And I'll watch, Larry, Curly, Moe do all their stuff. And right after would be the Addams Family. I watch every now and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Luis Guzman actually fit the character to the T, especially when it comes to the comic.
To the original.
The original comic, which I didn't even know was a comic. I knew it was a series back in the day.
I knew it was a series. I didn't know it was a comic.
Yeah.
I think
crazy, right?
And it's funny that you bring that up because I think my wife and I had the same thought process when we saw him play Gomez. We're like, is that really? That's the person you chose? You know? And it's not that I don't like Luis. I think he's great.
He's a fantastic actor. Yeah.
I think he's been great in so many other films. But I was like, because I do agree. I had the 90s movie version of Gomez in my head.
Right.
Yep.
But I guess if you're, that's also Tim Burton's fault. He's the one who chose. He was the director. I don't know if he chose whoever played Gomez in the 90s version, but I'm glad you brought that up, because that was definitely something that went through my mind going, is this really who you want? But if you're saying that the comic version, if he resembles a better version of the comic version, which is, I guess, the original version of Gomez Addams, then who are we to say otherwise.
Right. And so yeah, like I was saying, I knew I wanted to talk about this show on the podcast, right? So
Yeah.
I was just like, because this would be a hilarious conversation. Because I mean, Luis Guzman is top tier actor. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
and 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 they're actually guest starring on the show. They
Yeah,
weren't
right.
regulars on the show.
Yeah, they weren't,
You
and I think
know,
that was part of the okayness. That's why it didn't bother me too much
Right.
because they weren't like it wasn't the Addams family, right? It was
Mhm.
just
Right.
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
and what was
Mhm.
happening with her. So yeah.
And Thing and Wednesday and Thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So let's open up with Jenna Ortega as Wednesday. What did you guys think of her performance?
Great.
She
Fantastic.
did a very good job. I think she took in that character very naturally at times. Only
Mhm.
because she just fits everything. Now I was having a conversation with my wife. I'm like, I wonder if Jenna Ortega even has this kind of personality outside of the show, because she did a really good job as Wednesday Addams.
She did. There were a couple of tidbits that I've caught about Jenna and her playing Wednesday. A couple of things was Christina Ricci did not help her in any way
Mhm.
in part when they were working together on how she did Wednesday. And I think that Christina Ricci not doing that actually makes it a lot easier for Jenna to work, because it's kind of giving her that I guess that idea of how to kind of be your own character. I guess it's kind of like maybe it might be an actor homage thing, like the torch, passing the torch, and you do it yourself. You do you, boo. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, I had just started taking in or going into the acting business and whatnot, and I don't really understand because I have yet to work with other actors, but I believe that the two not talking to each other is actually pretty cool and very artistic, like in my opinion. So I thought that was really cool. And then another thing is that Tim Burton saw that Jenna didn't blink during her during some scenes or whatnot, and then Tim Burton goes up to her and says, "Don't blink again." You know what I mean? Keep your eyes open at all times. But Jenna didn't know she was doing that at first before he had said anything. But that was also a cool thing. I think the last thing was her dancing.
Oh
So
yeah.
in the episode where she's dancing, she pays homage to the time where Wednesday, as a little girl, was teaching Lurch how to do a dance,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually does it in her choreography, and that's all 100% Jenna in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I heard, again, my wife is the one who pointed all this out. She and the kids actually watched Wednesday.
Mhm.
I was a little skeptical about it. Again, it was because it was Tim Burton, but I ended up watching it, and but she told me like, yeah, Jenna Ortega. I actually looked up dances, and I don't know if it was like the 50s or 18. I don't know what time frame or whatnot, but she actually studied film of how the goths would actually dance back then, and she took it and she ran with it, and because of that, she created this scene in the Raven ball or whatnot.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
It turned out to be a Blade movie at the end, but dude, I thought I saw that scene, that clip in a different, in a different light, because I only saw it in like a trailer, and I was just like, "Oh, snap."
Which
Is that like
which clip?
the ending of the Raven clip, where the blood is falling from the sky?
From yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I thought it was Wednesday that did it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I thought that she was trying to do a Carrie prank or something like that to the kids.
Right.
And I'd have been like, dang. And then I would just say, yo, why does that remind me of the first Blade movie with Wesley Snipes? When they're all of them are in the club, and then you just see the blood coming down.
Which, I mean, obviously, that scene is a homage to Carrie, because that's exactly what happened. And she goes and says, "Oh, you could even like make it pig's blood, like
Yeah.
pain, like this
it was
Yeah.
pink.
Yeah, you just
It was
called
so
everybody and
disappointing.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I think she did a great job of playing Wednesday. I give props to anybody who has to play such a serious character and
Mhm.
and tell the jokes that they tell
Mhm.
without cracking a smile. You know, like if you told me to say some of the stuff she was saying without smiling, I think I would have to retake that like 50,000 times before I can say it with a dead face. You know,
Yeah.
like what is the first episode she goes into? It's like something about like whose great idea was it to put all these adolescent like hormone children in one building together and like imprison us all together. I was like busting up. I was like, that's such a good line.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a good line.
I think what also makes Jenna great as Wednesday was she kept Wednesday so even though that we're in 2022, even in the show that we're in 2022, she does minimal thinking when it comes and minimal things when it comes to like technology. She uses a typewriter. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's
Yeah.
super old school. That's something that like in the 90s that was very prominent to do instead of using a computer. And then she doesn't use a cell phone, which made her character even that much better because she'd have to literally go and do all these things by herself.
Yeah.
So
And it
yeah,
was
I mean, yeah.
yeah, it was pretty cool with her roommate too, Enid,
Enid
who's all over social
Sinclair.
media, who's all over her vlog and very colorful, which is like
Yeah.
the super complete opposite of Wednesday Addams.
I think. Oh yeah. I guess we could kind of open up at Enid Sinclair's character, who was the polar opposite of Wednesday. Emma did a great job. I didn't really do a lot of research on Emma on her figuring out her character. However, I did love her character in the show, in the series, because she didn't change. She didn't
Right.
change. Everything about her was 100% sincere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the end, I thought I was just like, yo, is Enid like a dog instead of a werewolf? You know what I mean?
I'm like,
Loyal to
it's
her people. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? To a fault.
No,
I
she's a fur.
mean,
She's a fur.
she's a furry. Oh no.
No, she's a fur.
That's funny.
And they don't. Yeah. I was really surprised at the chemistry that Wednesday and Enid had on screen. It worked enough to show that it also didn't work. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because, well, when you see Enid do all these things outside of the dorm room, and Wednesday sees them, like when they do the paddling competition.
Oh yeah, the canoeing.
You know what I mean?
Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And so she was just like, yeah, like there isn't. Or like there isn't anything I want more than to win this cup. It's the thing I want most in life right now. Like whenever Enid wanted to do something, she was 100% in it to win it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And with the best friend hug at the end, I had a little teardrop. Because I thought because Enid worked hard for that hug. You know what I'm saying? She worked hard for that hug, and even though Wednesday, it took Wednesday everything.
8 episodes.
It took everything in Wednesday to do that. I thought that was really cool because obviously we've never seen Wednesday in this light, so we don't know how the actual Wednesday would be, in as a teenager. Because the one that we saw, I think she was like 11 or something like that. The Christina Ricci played in Addams Family Values.
Mhm.
Well, that's when they had the third child.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the third child is not in this show. At least we didn't see it.
Somebody's taking care of him.
Probably grandmama. So, yeah, because we didn't see her. You know what I mean?
My wife said the same thing. It's like, where's the third baby? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't think too hard on it.
Yeah, it might be a kid. It might be he might be like 4 or 5 years old, something like that. Like in the universe. But anyway, yeah, that was for me. Enid was great.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought, like you said, it's like they work so well together for two characters that were literally like like different ends of the same pole, right? Like
Mhm.
they were just contrary to each other in every aspect possible. And I thought it was cool also, like their room, how it was separated in the same way, right? Her side of the window, if you want to say,
Hmm.
it was all colorful and you can see it shining into her room. And yet Wednesday's side was just plain. There was no color to it. And yet the
Mhm.
color wouldn't spill into the other person's side of the room. The color always stayed on
Mhm.
the right person's side,
Yep.
right? So it didn't matter if the sun was moving to the left or the right. The light always shone straight into the room
Mhm.
and wouldn't spill. So I thought that was pretty cool because it's just like it showed that just Wednesday, she ain't about the color.
That
Yeah.
is
And
interesting.
the
I didn't
color
even
knows
realize
not
that.
to, yeah, and the color knows not to cross her onto her side.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I mean, that's a great observation right there. I mean, I didn't even. Wow. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have, none other than Wednesday's love interests or romantic relationships, which is last on her list when
I
she
thought I
ended
thought
up
it was gonna be a
Nevermore.
harem. Yeah, no, I thought it was gonna be a harem. I was just like, yo, was Wednesday always spitting game? But I forgot. I mean, she's in a building full of outcasts like
Yeah.
herself. So she is probably like a prima donna to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Let's talk about the love interests, the main ones anyway. We got Tyler Galpin,
Hmm.
son of the sheriff, and Xavier Thorpe. Apparently, he's a famous son, or his dad is super famous, but he is, of course, the mistake or anything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the child that lets his parents down. So you have these two people now. Um, I really did. I really did like the way that they made their characters, but to me, they both look kind of alike. Just one had curly hair and the other had straight hair. You know what I mean?
That's true. Now that I'm looking at the picture. So
Yeah.
Tyler Galpin was portrayed by Hunter Duhan,
Hmm.
and then Xavier Thorpe was portrayed by Percy Hines White. Um, but yeah, you can. I mean, yeah, I mean, they look similar, but one had curly hair, one had longer hair. So,
Hmm. They did, especially when they were at the carnival.
mm,
And then what was really great about these two characters is they had history before Wednesday showed up. You know what I mean? Tyler was the Jericho um preppy boy. You know what I mean? He was a dude that didn't like Outcast either, just like everybody else in Jericho.
hmm.
And who was the victim of Tyler's bullying? Of course, it was Xavier, and that was the thing that set it off. And even though Jenna knew that these guys liked her, or not Jenna, excuse me, Wednesday knew, her eyes kind of showed everything on like whenever any of these guys said some kind of like line, like any kind of like pickup line, like let's use Tyler when he was like, "Yo, I thought we liked each other," and then she got quiet, and her eyes kind of like went a little bit erratic if you saw it, and that would, oh yeah, and this is one of the things that made Jenna such an amazing Wednesday was that
It's because she was triggered.
yeah, it's subliminal. All of her subliminal messages, like all of the things that she didn't need to say, said it with her eyes. So Tim Burton telling her not to blink, genius, because man, did that the
Because she means business.
yeah, none of the, well, and you could tell she's scared in a weird way, like
Yeah.
the feelings that she was getting didn't make sense to her because it was illogical. You know what I mean? A lot of it was illogical, and she
Also,
is yeah.
I think also like you have to kind of think about because she even said it. I think it was in the first episode. It's like she refuses to be like her mom and her dad,
Yeah, to fall
and
in love.
that
Yeah.
to be like yeah, like and she's like I don't. That kind of love seems like not normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Coming from a person who is absolutely not normal, right?
Right.
But
Right.
yeah. So I think in part it was like she was fighting that desire for somebody because she's like and she like I said she said it to her mom, I don't want to be like you, I refuse to be like you. So falling in love or being in love would be like her mom, and she just didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
What she doesn't understand is just you can't control love sometimes.
Yep. And obviously, and then it's crazy too because like Percy got really close, or excuse me, Xavier got really close to Wednesday, while Tyler wasn't. He couldn't have gotten close to Wednesday because he wasn't even going to the school. That was the player in Tyler. I'm just gonna say, okay, that dude was. I think it was because of his willingness to help her leave in the very beginning. Remember, he's like, if you wait, I can take you to Burlington myself. And then she's like, oh, what? You know what I mean? Like that. I think that he was the first person to help him and didn't want to keep her there, whereas Xavier kind of wanted her around a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it's somebody from his past that helped him or that saved his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I really like the fact that these two guys were the triangle, to Wednesday's love, and I thought they were pretty good characters coming in, and to no surprise to me, okay, so I when we're talking about the main villain of the story, I kind of, or not villain, I would say one of like what would you call him, the big monster?
He was a villain.
But he wasn't the villain, you know what I mean?
No, he was a villain. No,
he was okay, all right, yeah. So I already knew who the monster was solely from the hair. There was no there. I don't understand how anybody thought it was anyone else, but he was my number one suspect from the get go, like coming out. I'm just like, yo.
So you never suspected Xavier at all?
No, not 100% didn't. Especially when you see his studio.
I thought, I'm gonna lay it out there right now. I thought Xavier was it, guys, and I spoke to one of my coworkers, and she said she thought it was him too.
Really?
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't think I ever thought that Xavier was the monster because I'm like, it's too obvious to be Xavier.
Yeah.
So, but then like I thought it was Tyler for a second. But then I was like, oh, maybe it's not Tyler, because I was like, oh, now you're making it too obvious that it could be Tyler. So usually, if you say if you make it obvious that you're trying to push it towards somebody, like it's never that person, right? So Xavier just seemed too obvious of an answer. So I was like, nah, man, it's not gonna be the homeboy, right? So I thought it was Tyler, but then they made it too obvious that it was going to be Tyler. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not Tyler. And I'm like, but who else could it be? They haven't introduced anybody else to this show that could be
exactly
the monster, right? And then I thought for a second that maybe it was the boy that actually got killed.
You mean Rowan?
Right?
Rowan?
Was that his
Rowan?
name?
Yeah, Rowan.
But I'm like, maybe like he faked it somehow. Maybe there's more than one. I was trying to come up with all kinds of different like
scenarios,
theories
for sure.
Right, but I will tell you right now that I knew that Marilyn was the other bad guy instantly.
You knew that? Okay.
Yeah. The moment they went into her class. Right,
okay.
the first, and they were talking about predatory plants. I'm like, oh, you're the bad guy. You're the bad guy. Predatory plants, a plant that looks innocent but isn't, is waiting for the moment to snap on. You're the bad guy because you look innocent and you're just waiting for your moment. Now, how she was going to be the bad guy, I did not know. Right, once they came out with the idea that there's somebody controlling this monster, I'm like, oh, she's the one controlling the monster then. And that kind of like solidified it for me. I was like, oh, 100%. So when they showed up that she was, I was like, what? I'm surprised. Not really. I figured that out like episode 2.
I did have a couple of things where it just was like, maybe it's not Tyler, but I was just like, every time I would doubt myself, I thought to myself, it's got to be Tyler because of the monster's hair.
That's what T said the same thing. She's like, it can't be Xavier. I'm like, why? Why can't it be Xavier? What is your theory? And she's like, because he's got long hair and the monster does it. I'm like, that's your only reason?
Yeah. If they made him bald, if they had made him bald, we would have no idea until the end.
It'd be made him bald.
Yeah, but
he's the monster.
Yeah, no, and I was glad that they brought in, Thing and Uncle Fester, and
Thing was
even,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it was awesome.
Whoever played Thing, I don't know who it is. Does it say
Good
here
job,
who
hand.
played? Yeah, whoever the hand person
Yeah,
belongs
Victor
to.
Duran Bontu.
Yeah, great. You
Yeah.
had a great thing. I think your thing was fantastic.
Yeah,
Yo, I almost cried when I thought Thing died when he got stabbed against the
Same here.
wall. I
dude.
was like, "Oh, you ain't about to kill Thing, right? Like,
I
what's
know,
the
right?
Adams family without? He's the extra D in Adams."
What?
I don't know.
Pause. No.
I'll let you guys
Okay.
think about that one.
Okay. Yeah.
Guys, it's dark, all right?
All right. So Wednesday, the show, it talks about Wednesday actually getting in trouble in her previous school and being forced to go into boarding school via court ordered. You see her having to go through all of these tribulations with these other folks who are similar to her, and she unravels this whole mystery of what is going down in Jericho and Nevermore, and why she is so important to Nevermore, and you kind of see everything just kind of building up in a proper way. However, let's go a little bit deeper in the plot. So you see her in the beginning, she's like to her parents, "I'm not going to be like you guys. I'm not going to fall in love,"
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I mean. And then we forget, and that makes us forget that she's actually still a teenager. You know what I mean? And teenagers is in the biggest rebellion towards their parents ever. You know what I mean? Like, of course she's
Yeah.
gonna say those things. I mean, you sound like a freshman in high school. You know what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, she goes in, and I thought that there was a lot of good parts where, you introduce the characters of Nevermore. You see the principal, who is, of course, the jealous ex friend or ex classmate of Morticia. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And judging with the principal, I think the principal used to be in love with Gomez. I think, you know what I mean. And it was definitely good to see that the principal was Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Um, and
And
then
Star Wars.
she was Brienne of Tarth in Star Wars.
What? No, she was.
I'm just kidding.
She
I'm
was
just
in
kidding.
Star Wars as well.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, and then you see the principal trying to help, and then you see, of course, Jericho, which is the normie area of the same town. Is Nevermore's in Jericho, correct? If
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah. So
On the
Nevermore,
outskirts.
yeah, on the outskirts, up in the top. So the only reason why, apparently, from what the mayor of Jericho says, that Nevermore is still standing is because of the money that Nevermore brings in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, of course. I was just like, it's a boarding school. Anybody that can afford that boarding school definitely got pockets, deep pockets. You know what I'm saying? And it was funny too. I was talking to my brother the other day about the Addams family and their riches, and they're super rich. And the
Yeah.
only reason why they're rich is because Gomez bought a swamp that had tons of oil.
Ah.
He bought the swamp because it has that macabre that atmosphere. He was just like, oh, it's so dark and gloomy. Let's get it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then, oh my gosh, we're rich. you know?
Well, but Uncle Fester's also rich.
Well, he probably stole his riches, but yeah, no.
I mean, that's also
you know,
Yeah, he did attempt
wasn't it,
robbing
wasn't
the
it
show.
in the Addams Family Family Values where he was getting married, right? Or was that
No,
the
the
first one?
first one.
Yeah,
The first one he was
and
getting married.
the fiance was trying to kill him because she wanted
Mhm.
his riches. He had his own money, I think.
Yeah,
But
he had his own money. Yeah.
definitely could have been robbing all that.
You could have been robbing people. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know, which is funny. And yeah, and so with the Jericho the normies not getting along with the outcast of Nevermore, that became a very big focal point in getting to understand the schools, where it stood in the town. And then even if you look at the psychiatrist, Dr. Valerie Kinbot, played by Rookie Lindmore.
Mm-hmm.
I had a crush on her because she has this funny music group on YouTube. But anyway, she was a normie, and she did a lot of psych sessions with even kids from Nevermore, which makes sense because they're outcasts, so they definitely need that mental help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you do see a lot of Jericho meshing with the people of Nevermore, which a lot of people in Jericho did not like. So that's why it was just really interesting to see the the back and forth between the two. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then you brought up a good point about Christina Ricci's character Marilyn Thornhill, how she with all the death plants or whatnot, she was a normie in the outcast world, right? She's like she wasn't. She says she was too weird to be a normie and too normie to be a outcast, which is I thought
Cast.
was weird. I'm like, I'll just say you just seem like Eugene with the B. You know what I mean? And Eugene with the bees. Oh, I forgot to bring up Eugene. He's the number one stunner. He's a Hummer. That's what he's called, right? Hummers don't leave the Hummers behind or something like that.
Yep.
And I was
Mhm.
just like, is that supposed to be like, because in Hawaii we call friends that are loyal like hammers, like hammers. So
Uh-huh.
I thought it was I thought it was funny. So, but anyway, yeah. And then am I missing anything else within the plot? Like, you know what I mean? Like we see that
um.
Marilyn Thornhill's character is trying to do what Joseph Crackstone couldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which was kill all the outcasts.
I
Kill all
think
the
there was just a
outcasts.
lot going on between Wednesday trying to figure out her family legacy and the fact that, or the reason why she's being hunted. There's just a lot going on in season one. Like, why did she see herself? Oh, it was her ancestor like 400 years ago, being hunted by pilgrims so that way their outcast group will be getting rid of by him, and there's just I think the reason why they're coming out with another season is because there's just so many unanswered questions at the very end as well.
Yeah. Well, I have a question because I don't know if I missed this. Did Eugene ever wake up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
Oh,
super
he did
woke
wake
up.
up.
Yeah.
I
He's
must
the
have
one
missed
that
that.
he's the
I
one
must
that
have missed that part.
he
knocked over
eliminated Christina
Marilyn.
Ricci.
Yeah. He's the one that beat her.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, he was
How
just
did I
like
miss that
he
part?
was like this. He was like
He did the
Namor.
Kamehameha B wave.
No, it's the Namor, dude. Yeah, he controlled the bees to
I forgot
just
that part.
destroy Marilyn. And it was funny because Marilyn is a flower teacher and bees love to eat flowers.
Mhm.
Or at least the
Another
nectar.
example of why it was obvious that she was the bad guy.
Yep. And Eugene is the winner. And dude, when Eugene got cut up, I
Yo, I
was
thought
like,
you.
no way. I was like,
He doesn't
this
save the
kid.
throne.
I was just like, whoa. I was like, this kid, why? And then it made Wednesday even angrier. And that was really cool to see Wednesday just like, yo, this is my fault. You know what I mean? She was actually, how would I say it? She was getting that she felt that guilt because it was consequences from her actions caused these things. And yeah.
I feel like some, not some, maybe there are people out there who confuse Wednesday because she has such a like a I don't give a f about anybody kind of attitude
Yeah.
that people believe she doesn't. But you have to remember why she got kicked out of the first school to begin with was because people were bullying her brother, and so she decided to throw him in a pool full of piranhas. And in the movies, she would do the same thing. Like she would attack people who would bully her brother. Right?
Yep.
She's like, I'm the only one who could bully my brother and try to kill him.
Like, how dare you take my position in life?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think she once you're able to very, very much squeeze yourself into her very, very, very small heart, you're stuck in there, and she will protect you, even though it seems like she's very indifferent about you, whether you're her family member, a friend, or just a random stranger on the side of the street.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we just have to keep that in mind about her. She cares. She cares.
She
In
does.
her own twisted and
In her
dark
own
way,
little
she cares.
twisted Tim Burton ways.
Yes. Yo, okay,
Yeah.
so this brings me up. Okay, so talking about Tim Burton. So Randolph here told us that he doesn't really like Tim Burton.
No,
which kind of
Yeah, what
okay.
in
blows
So
my
the
mind.
world?
here's the thing. I don't like. I didn't say I didn't like Tim Burton as a person, but I just don't really.
He
I
hates
don't
him
find
as
his
a
films
person.
that interesting to me. Like, okay,
His
so once
movies.
upon a time, I grew up watching some Tim Burton film, and I got creeped out. Hence, the film was called Nightmare Before Christmas, and I grew to love it all because I was being forced to watch it, and now I like it. Um, but there are some movies like Edward Scissorhands, and we got the three Batman movies with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Batman 1989, and then Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever, I think,
Yes.
Yeah, that one's with Val Kilmer, I believe.
with Val Kilmer.
Yeah,
And
that one.
Tim Burton also had a lot of other movies. Like he recreated Dumbo. He did um, the Corpse's Bride, I believe.
Yes. He
So
did a lot.
there's a lot of but for me, like everybody has their own like I don't know how to say it, but like everybody has their own like their way of, I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm not drawn to his creativity, although his creativity is really very dark, twisted, humorous, like Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp.
Right.
So it's just like I can't see it. Like I don't know. I'm just watching and just like, man, this movie is super dark. Like maybe because my head's really twisted and dark to begin with, and this is just adding into it. I don't know.
I can see that. I can see that. I would say that of all the Tim Burton movies I've watched, the one that kind of creeped me out, and not like I was just like, whoa, this one is kind of like out there, was Caroline. Caroline was
Coraline, yes.
Caroline was something. I was
That-
like, whoa.
I don't know
this
how I watched that.
This is twisted for sure.
But as soon as I saw I only saw like 10, 15 minutes of the film, and I didn't even know it was Coraline playing in the background. I was just watching. I'm like, this is a Tim Burton movie. I looked it up.
Oh, 100%. Like there are certain directors. Certain directors just have have something to them. I think Tim Burton is definitely one of them. The other one, for sure, is what is his name? Oh no, I forgot his name.
Tarantino also.
Tarantino. That's what I was thinking about. He's the other one.
He has
You watch any of his movies at
and
any
you can tell
point
it's
in it,
him.
and you could tell. Oh, that's a Tarantino movie right there.
Yeah, and it's just like Tim Burton. I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm like, that is so Tim Burton. I'm gonna stop watching.
I like
is
Tim
not
Burton.
me.
I've enjoyed many Tim Burton movies. I am a big fan of Edward Scissorhands. Has always been one of my favorite movies.
Mhm.
I'm always a fan of Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd is so good. People underestimate Sweeney Todd. I've always enjoyed Sweeney Todd. I think the music in it is pretty dang good. And well, I mean, Johnny Depp, he just does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also heard that Tim Burton also incorporated some of his little small creatures when they were in the shop. I think it was with Enid and Ajax. Some of those small creatures that they're messing around with had some. They paid homage to some of his movies or some of his.
I can see that.
That's as part of like some Easter eggs there. And then obviously you guys know about you got the two snaps.
I thought that was a
pretty
nice
cool.
touch. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's okay. That was a really big one. The two finger snaps.
And it was cool too. In the music, it was like before she did it, it was like doom doom go boom instead of the da 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 da. It's like doom go boom boom. And I was like, yo, super cool.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then obviously we got Christina Ricci, not reprising her role as Wednesday Addams, but she is the I don't know, a number one suspect, I guess, number one villain, because she's the one who took control of the Tyler. So
the kind teacher who was not so kind.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It was always like, whoa, what's going on? But yeah, no, I just thought that it was weird to see that Marilyn Thornhill could do that, like had that psychological kind of hold on Tyler, you know what I mean? But obviously if you find out that he was once a Hyde, of course you could definitely bring it out. And of course, you find out that, or actually, I guess the dad never wanted to speak to, Tyler about it solely because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
why I like that's the underlining tone. Parents, talk to your children about things that is going on in their lives. You only
Mhm.
trying to hide away from that only hurts your children.
Yep.
And children, talk to your parents because they
don't-
sometimes they're the best people who can help you.
They
Yep.
know the answers. Yep.
True that. That's what I tell my kids every day. But
Yeah.
so.
Sometimes it could be embarrassing or it could be hurtful or painful to say, but you got to talk to somebody. I think,
Yep,
and I
yep.
think that's kind of like the part of the message of this show. You know what I liked about this show?
What?
I'm going to say something that may come out to be people may not agree with me and may dislike me, but you know what? I don't really care if people dislike me. So
Hit that dislike button. See what
we don't even see those counts anymore. Part of my issue with shows of today, right, especially like teen bopper kind of shows, they're too freaking woke, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to push
Yeah.
a certain viewpoint on everybody, right? Which I understand to some extent, but when you're trying too hard, it feels like propaganda. I agree. Yes, I think Wednesday did a really nice job of being woke, but in a not obvious way. I
Yeah.
think they did a good job of trying to hit pinpoint like things like what I just said. I think part of this show is talking about how keeping things inside affect you, right? And if you people keep secrets, nobody can help you, right? And which is funny because then you have the main character who doesn't want help from anybody and wants to do everything on her own, but comes to realize that you know what, she can't. She needs people to help her. You can't just do everything solo, because if you try to, not only do you hurt people around you, but also you push people away, and then nobody wants to be your friend anymore or want to talk
Right.
to you. So,
Yeah.
but
And
I
then
think that
the two examples that you're talking about, Leo, is when she was really hot on the case of who the monster is and thought it was Tyler, and it was who was surrounding her. We had Bianca, we had the other members of the Nightshade, and then how did she figure out that it was Thornhill? Well, we had Professor Weems, who sadly gave her life away, that helped out Wednesday.
yeah, yeah. So if there's one thing I appreciated about this show is that it wasn't in your face woke.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we owe it all to the creativity, the dark, twisted mind of Tim Burton, who didn't make it like that. So,
right.
Well, apparently he only directed like 4 of the episodes.
I believe that. I believe that to be that's obvious, because most of the time, not even all kinds of shows are directed by multiple different directors. Like, it's never just one person, which I always find to be kind of crazy, because all the directors do a good job of also kind of making it cohesive and not feel like you're watching it by, let's say 3 or 4 different directors. You're like, whoa, what? But no.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of the direction of the movies, with all these directors, do we have? I know I do. So there's a lot of love for this show, all over the place, really. And there's going to be some things that we didn't see that we didn't like, or that we saw that we didn't like. You know what I mean? And there are a couple of those. So you know what I mean? Like, for me, there was a big part that I didn't really like in the show. And I believe it was the lack of the other outsiders interacting with Wednesday.
Mhm.
So there was even though it was a thing for me, you do see Wednesday actually interacting, or at least observing the others, just like they're like, "Have you ever seen this and this happen in school before?" She's like, "Well, I saw a couple vampires fanging in the library," and I'm like, "What? They were what? Fanging
That
each
was a
other?"
good one. I
You
thought
know what I
that
mean?
was a good one.
And I thought that was pretty cool, but like you never really see anything outside of that as far as where vampires get brought up in the beginning and at that moment. And then you kind of realize that this school is not only of outcasts, but of you know beings that shouldn't exist. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then I do remember Wednesday would talk about werewolves, vampires as the norm. So seeing them
Right.
in school, it doesn't mean anything to her. But what's really interesting is that she's human, whereas everybody that she's fighting is not. And they don't
Mhm.
care. Like what they are as far as beings and species is irrelevant in this high school drama called Wednesday. And
Right.
I guess that does help a little bit, but I didn't like the fact that there wasn't other instances with other races and stuff like that, or species, excuse me.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be coming out a little bit later on. I don't think they try to unpack everything in the first episode or first season. But I do like the fact that they did that. Bringing out the normies and Nevermore as the outcast organization or school or boarding school, and
Mhm.
and going back to what Leo was saying in the beginning, like earlier, was that you it pretty much helps kids or teenagers to be okay with being normal,
Mhm.
and for those who are struggling being normal, that it's okay to just be out there, be weird and whatnot, because you always got the normies who are always going to be against you no matter what. But obviously you're going to keep doing what you're doing and then just be unusual and be weird all the time.
Yeah, and ain't nobody normal. Like, you
Yeah,
point
what's
to be a
normal?
normal person, and I point to you at their closet and the skeletons they got in them. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, nobody's normal, and anybody who tries that hard to be, it's like they're hiding something. But yeah, no, I agree with that. That's a good point. And I also agree. Like, I think we could. I would the argument I would make to what is was saying is uh we're seeing it from the perspective of Wednesday, who is isolated from the world anyways
Hmm.
and doesn't know how to interact yet, and that's why we don't have interaction with other groups of people, other races, and stuff like that. That's how I'm gonna defend that the choices
Yes,
they
yeah.
made.
She does have a lack of tact. She has a
Yeah.
lack of tact, and I think that's what makes Wednesday Wednesday. Though you know what I mean. She's honest. She just reminds me of like she speaks like a genius. I can't say
Hmm.
she's a genius because she made failures
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
of her, of her, I guess, deduction. She deduced that Xavier was the
The monster.
monster, and
Yeah.
Hmm.
The
the
hide.
the psychiatrist that could master them or whatever was
Was the
Dr.
controller.
Valerie Kinbot. Yeah, the
Hmm.
Yeah.
controller. Yeah, so she thought she got two of them wrong, and I'm just like, how'd you get them wrong? And then obviously it was, and when she found out she was wrong and it was Tyler the whole time, she goes to Xavier for help, and Xavier's like, "Yo, for real?" He's like, "You put
After
me in
all
this
that.
cell, yeah? After all
Yeah.
that, you think?" And I was just like, "Yes." So yeah, all right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to those parts, especially with her as a detective, which kind of brings her down a level. Like obviously, the sheriff was supposed to be the top dog detective. He knew what was
Hmm.
going down, but he didn't know how to solve it. And then obviously with Wednesday at school, she could solve it, but she that so they made her seem like a super genius in the very beginning, but at the end it made it seem like, yeah, she can make mistakes too, which I was hoping that they wouldn't do something like that, but they did. But I mean, each their own. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
What do you think, Leo? Do you have any issues with the movie or
You're
show?
gonna be surprised. I really don't.
Eh?
I don't
Oh
really have many
snap!
criticism. Like I said, the only criticism I had was about Luis playing Gomez. Um, right? But what you told me, kind of like, okay, you know what? I can accept that to be the truth, right? I'm basing my idea of Gomez off the movies in the 90s,
Yeah. Same.
right?
Yeah.
And you make a good point that almost everybody in the 90s, you'd have thought that only beautiful people existed during the 90s. That's all they showed on TV. Like, other than, and I mean no offense, other than what is his name from Saved by the Bell? Their nerdy guy.
Oh, Screech.
Yeah, Screech. Other than Screech, it was like everybody else was beautiful all the time. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I really didn't. I thought it was good. Like I said, I would have been super disappointed if they forced a woke vision on us, but they really didn't. I thought it was funny. I thought the jokes were just kind of like on point for Wednesday, right? They were dry and dark, and I wouldn't expect anything else. And so I really don't have anything bad to say about the show, and I am looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, apparently it's going to come out in 2024.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we're in 2023. We're not even in 2023. People, come on, let's just get it in.
I know, right? I was like, by then, like everybody's going to go like 2 years. You know, Jenna and Emma, Wednesday and Enid are both 20 years old. I don't know if they're going to still look 16 in 2 years. You know what I mean? You know, they could get older looking, and you never know. You know, you just see Enid like all of a sudden she's 6 foot.
I know.
Wait,
right?
when do women stop growing? I know dudes stop growing at 22.
So earlier than that.
Men? No, I know. Earlier than that.
Women usually stop growing earlier than that. I mean, obviously there are women who don't, but usually, yeah, in the 20s is when people stop growing.
Oh,
when you start solidifying.
Well, since we talked about everything as far as the plot and what we did not like, you know what I'm saying. So, if you were to give a grade, what would it be? And I guess I'll start. So with the cast, I'm gonna kind of give like just generalize it in my head. So the cast, I give like an A. Characters, A. Plot, give like a B. Criticism, I give a B. So I think overall would probably be an A, about like a 90, 93, 95%. So like A, yeah, like yeah, it's a good movie or show. It's a good show.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. The 1 point was off only because it was a Tim Burton film. But
y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it here.
Man, I don't care if I'll watch other Tim Burton movies and stuff like that, but no, he did a good job with it. I mean, 9 out of 10 is a really good score, guys. Come on.
It is. Anywhere you're watching this or listening to this, if there's a comment section, comment below why you think Ronima should love Tim Burton,
or why you think we should hate it.
Oh yeah.
What, do you agree with Randolph in saying that Tim Burton is? I mean, he's not the greatest like one of the best directors. Not the greatest. I wouldn't say he's one of the greatest. But
I'm just saying, like,
he is.
Do you also get creeped out by his movies? I guess that's a better question. Do you get creeped out by his movies?
And that's the thing.
No, I'm like in the comments, say yes. You know what? I hate his movies because they scare me, and I wake up in like sweat.
Right, well, convince me, guys. Leave it down in the comment section below which Tim Burton movie I should watch to convince myself that Tim Burton is a great actor. I mean, director. Just kidding.
So for me, I give it I give it an A as well. I give it an A.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I have no ill wills against Tim Burton.
Just little old me, man.
All right, that's going to wrap up this episode on Wednesday. Please follow us on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere that you see us on social media. Also, don't forget to watch this video on youtube.com The Nerdy Volume, and listen to us on any of our platforms via Anchor FM, whether it's Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Radio Public, Overcast, Pocket Cast, anywhere that you listen to your podcast.
Overcast.
Yeah. please give us a like and give us a follow, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Later, guys.
Deuces.